Hello, exercise enthusiasts, and welcome to this edition of Silver Sneakers Boom Muscle. Today I was going to start off with doing some exercises and demonstrating some equipment at a gym facility you might see, might not be certain how to use or what to do with them. I want to start with big, soft balls you might see and demonstrate some of the exercises you can use. First is to decide what ball to pick to do your exercises. There's charts on the internet you can look at based on your height, but probably the easiest way to decide is to grab a ball and then sit on it. They can roll around a bit. When you sit, you want the angle of your knee to be about 90 degrees and your knee in line with your hip, so horizontal on the thigh. You might find these balls roll around, so you can increase. Some places will have a platform. A lot of places will have a stack of these benches you can step up on, step. You can turn one of these over, put the ball on top of it. That'll keep it from rolling. Again, it'll make it a bit higher, so you might have to pick a slightly lower ball. Starting off, it also might be good to have some sort of platform close by, a chair or one of these supports. And we can start with just sitting on the ball and standing up, sitting, standing up. This is just a version of a touch squat, chair squat. You can offset your legs a bit. And this is a version of a split squat. And be careful with your knees, that they're on top of your feet, so you're not doing any undue inward or outward stress, valgus or varus. And we can switch sides on that. I'm going to remove the platform. You'll often see people doing crunches on these. They give you a little bit of instability, which requires more engagement of all the core muscles to increase stability. Once you're in this position, how do you get up? Well, roll back into that sitting position and then do your stand up. Moving on to some more strengthening exercises. I was going to show some kettlebell work. First thing with kettlebells is to look at the different sizes, slightly variations in shape. Some have a smooth handle, which is nice to when they're going to rotate in your palm. Others have a handle that's a little rougher. Some are rated in pounds, some are in kilograms. You can't judge by size because these kettlebells are all the same size, but they're kilograms going from 8, 12, 20, 32. So to convert that to pounds, multiply by 2.2, or you can just multiply by 2 to get an estimate. So 8's about 16, 12's about 24, 20 is about 40, 32 is at least 64. So while these other kettlebells, the smaller ones weigh less, larger ones are heavier. In that set, you'd be surprised sometimes if you are looking for one and you pick up the wrong one, just how dramatically different the weight can be. Just a couple more words about the kettlebell. What makes the kettlebell unique is the center mass is not in the center of the device. If you look at a dumbbell here, the center mass is right in the center of the handle. So it's fairly easy to balance. No matter how hard I try, I've never been able to balance a kettlebell unless I'm holding it from the bottom. So as you move a kettlebell, it requires that you engage additional stabilizing muscles to hold it because it's constantly trying to pull away from your body. So it's, no matter what you do with kettlebell, it increases the amount of exercise you're doing for your core. Another thing with kettlebell is if you swing it, let's try and do that at a different angle. It will rotate and can smack you in the back of your wrist, forearm, which can be quite painful and cause bruising. So if you're feeling the kettlebell is going to swing over, a couple things to do. First, grip the handle more tightly to slow it down and collapse your elbow. So as we bring it up, we grip and we collapse. Collapse our elbow and our knees to absorb the shock. With a light kettlebell, it might not be so bad, but as you get heavier, it can cause some significant bruising to the back of your forearm. You can grip tight enough so that the kettlebell doesn't swing, and you just hold it overhead. To do that, again, at the height, grip hard, hold tight, and make sure that it's straight overhead. It's a really good exercise to increase your grip strength and your forearm strength. So with most of my kettlebell exercises that go overhead, I try and aim for that posture, holding it up. So to start our kettlebell exercises, one of the fundamental exercises is called a kettlebell swing. How do you know what weight to grab for a kettlebell? It's going to take some practice. I'd start off lighter rather than heavier and see if doing an exercise is if you can do 10 to 20 repetitions and you're pretty gassed at the end, that's probably an appropriate weight. If you find that it's too easy, you can always do more. So with the swing, start with your legs apart. Kettlebell held with both hands at your lower body. Hinge forward and you swing between your legs and push your hips forward. So the swing is primarily an exercise for your lower body, posterior. Very good for glute and hamstrings and your core. You don't want to pull with your arms. The arms are just going along for the ride. Do about 5 more. Check your exertion level. Is that like a 7 or an 8? Pretty good. If it was a 3 or 4, maybe increase the weight. If you don't have access to kettlebells, you can use a dumbbell for most of these exercises. For a swing, you can take a dumbbell. I like to hold it, holding the weight on one side, and then doing the same move, swing between the legs and up. And about 5 more. Go back to a kettlebell. We do a goblet squat. For this, you hold the kettlebell with both hands in front of your chest, knees, legs, feet shoulder width apart, and do a squat. This is similar to a front squat. And let's do about 5 more. Again, pay attention to your form, engaging your core. You can always modify this with a lighter weight or no weight at all. Just putting your hands in front of your chest. You can even push them out, which changes your center of gravity a little bit. Another exercise I like to do for my glutes posterior is a one-leg deadlift with a kettlebell. It's good to have some sort of supported chair or something next to you. And you hold the weight. I like to lift my leg that's on the same side as the weight. And you just lift your leg, bend forward, back up. If you can avoid touching the platform, it engages your core, improves balance, but it can be quite challenging, and you don't want to lose form on this one. And let's switch to the other side. So how can we incorporate the kettlebell into an action interval? I am pausing because this takes a bit of courage. You can do a kettlebell swing and take a step. Go for a certain distance or a certain amount of time. Again, start off lighter, then heavier, because to cover that distance, swinging a kettlebell will be quite taxing, as you'll see. This is called a kettlebell march. I'm going to swing the kettlebell, take a step, swing, another step. It's down to the end and back. Take a break, get a drink of water, and recover. There's several exercises using a kettlebell that will incorporate your shoulders and your arms as well. Starting off, we can do a kettlebell clean. So again, you start with a swing between the legs and you lift it up to your shoulder. Again, remember, if it's going to flip, to try and control that. So, up and clean. And then switch arms. Snatch is a similar move, although the arm goes straight overhead. Let me move back a bit on this one. So between the legs, arm out, up overhead. See if you can squeeze and hold the kettlebell straight overhead. If you let it flip, comes a clean and press essentially. Or a snatch and press, I guess. We can switch arms. For a rowing exercise, you can just do a bent row. However, my favorite is what we call a gorilla row. Feet a bit wider apart, hinge forward, get down into essentially a squat position. Kettlebells can go on the floor. Lift one up at a time. It's not only exercising your back, but since it's a static squat position, you get your quads and your glutes kicking in as well. For our final action interval, I'm going to do a farmer's carry jog with kettlebell. Again, you can substitute dumbbell. If you start getting heavier, I like to use just a plate, like maybe grab 225 plates that have a way to hold them, not the solid ones, but the ones with the holes in them, up to maybe 45. If you're going heavier than that, it's probably time to switch to a barbell, adding weights to the end of the barbell. Again, you need to have plenty of room. You don't want to be running into somebody holding a heavy loaded barbell or one on both sides. So for farmer's carry, I've got a kettlebell on each hand. I'm going to run down to the end. My plan is to do 2 circuits. Certainly easier than the kettlebell march. For a final cool down, I want to demonstrate some of the things you can do with a Bosu ball or this half dome similar to the stability ball. When you start off on the Bosu, you want to have something close by to grab onto because it's going to challenge your balance. Probably the first move I do is try and just stand on it with the round surface up. And then just march with keeping my feet on the ball. You'll notice a lot of movement and activity in your ankles and feet. You're going to start engaging your core. It's fairly easy to lose your balance. Always hang on if you need to. From this position, I like to do little squats. See if I can maintain my balance. A little squat. You can go deeper. And up. You want to do these slowly. Don't hesitate to step off. When we do our next exercise, is you just step off and over. Can you reverse it? Switch legs, which one's going first? You might find this move quite challenging. It takes some different muscles that you're probably not used to using. And one more. Start to the side of the ball. Step up, down. You can make this a step over. And then stop on top. Try and see if you can balance on one leg. Don't hesitate to tap down with the other or to hold your support. Progression is to take your outside leg, do an abduction, and tap the ball. You can flip the ball over. Do exercises on the flat surface, which I think is a progression. I think it's harder to get up. I like to hold on to a support. Put my outside leg on first, second leg. You might have to adjust your feet. I feel this one requires more of my core engagement, maybe less in my ankle and feet. Same thing, mini squats. There's a risk to doing this sort of balanced exercise, so always be very, very careful. Getting down off the ball, always hold on to your support, because this can easily mess up your ankles. Some people will do push-ups with a Bosu ball. Probably best to do it with the flat surface up. Start off on your knees to get a feel of what's going on. Does a couple things first. It requires your hands a bit further apart, which is a variation, a progression on a push-up. Requires some more core engagement, being unstable. If the push-up is too challenging, you can always make it a plank. It adds a level of difficulty to the plank since the surface is already unstable and you're trying to stabilize your entire body. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe try some of these exercises. I always like to change things up. I think it keeps it interesting. Read online on all the different variations of things you can do. I left off a couple kettlebell exercises, like a windmill and a Turkish get-up, which I find are more challenging than I can handle. But maybe you can try those. Hope to see you next time.